Has anybody checked out the Son of Zorn show?
No, I heard it's pretty funny, though.
Actually, yeah, I watched the first 3 episodes.
Uh-huh.
It's not bad. If you're a He-Man fan and a Jason Sudeikis fan, you will probably like it.
Well, one of two.
Yeah.
Which one don't you like?
I never really got into He-Man.
Oh, okay.
Like,
See,
I
thought it was
couldn't
gonna
say
be
that I'm
the
not
other
I couldn't say that I don't like it. I can probably honestly say that I really never watched it. I just watched the new Ghostbusters last night for the first time, and
You poor soul.
I wasn't as disappointed as I thought I was going to be because I
That
went in
was
with
my
low
feeling,
expectations. I was expecting to be really disappointed by it, but you know, you were never going to be as good as the original. So
Yeah.
that's why I lowered my expectations to start with. Like,
Yeah.
As a comedy movie, I thought it was actually pretty solid. As a Ghostbusters movie, much less so.
yeah,
Mike, you still haven't seen it, right? Romano?
No.
I just wish they wouldn't have messed with the song. They could have just left the song as it was, and I was happy with Ray Parker.
The soundtrack literally has like 3 or 4 different versions of the Ghostbuster theme song on it.
Are any of them good?
I like
the original Ray Parker one.
I mean, aside from the Ray Parker one, I like the Walk the Moon version. That one stays close enough to the original that it updates it a little bit. The Fall Out Boy one is ridiculously stupid.
Who do they do? Is it Rihanna? Who is it?
Missy Elliott in Fall Out Boy.
Oh.
So, the Ghostbusters theme song needs a rap section.
Of course. Why wouldn't it?
It worked for the Ninja Turtles. Why not?
But the Ninja Turtles have rapped before. Like they've made music. I don't see the Ghostbusters getting down and scratching records and dropping rhymes and.
Hey, you know what? Oh God, I just lost my thought.
Good point.
Yeah.
Wow, this is going to be a productive evening.
I can tell already.
Oh, I was gonna say Winston and Ray sang in the second one.
Yeah, but it wasn't rapping. It was the theme song.
No, but they did their little dance in front of the kids, and the kids all told them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Because of He-Man. It comes right back around to He-Man.
He-Man, I'll tell you. By the power of fucking Grayskull.
Suddenly I get this visual of you fucking a gray skull.
Oh.
That was not the intention.
Can I have some Skype issues again? I'm just trying to get the hell out of here.
I hope you dream about that tonight, Mike.
You did a podcast with Ian last week. It's like an Ian comment right there.
Yeah, it's
I
rubbing
was
off,
thinking the same
guess.
thing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Bry Guy and His Super Friends, the only podcast that starts by innocently talking about Ray's parents and ends up arguing about consent laws on Tatooine. I'm your host, Brian Labick. Joining me for this episode is Mike Romano,
What's up?
Andy Stolz,
Hello, podcast peoples.
and our second Mike Bradley.
How's it going?
Second string, Mike.
That's why we said him second. It's all about the hierarchy. I think I told him on Facebook, we got to go through like this extensive hazing process with him
Yeah,
to get him acclimated to the podcast.
absolutely.
I mean, he did his first one with Ian last week, so I think that was a good.
I mean, that's a good step.
That's
right
like
there.
80% of the hazing.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
Well, I was able to deal with it as best I could.
You survived.
I survived. That's
Came out the other end. That's a good sign.
That's about all you can do.
Yeah, just
hang
roll
on.
with it. Yeah,
Just go with the flow.
just try not to smell like shit coming out of that shit show.
Yeah.
All right, so sort of segueing to some Star Wars talk a little bit, but before we really get started on what we got planned, yes, I realized there was a new trailer for Rogue One that released this morning, and no, I actually don't think we're going to talk about it on the show. At least that's sort of what I'm telling myself right now.
Imagine a hushed silence from the podcast crowd.
I know.
Take a moment of silence here.
Because I think I've said on previous episodes that I had seen enough marketing. I was going to stay away from any other trailers. I didn't want to go into the movie knowing too much more. And, I mean, that mentality worked for about 3 hours today. Because I did break down and watch the trailer.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Mike and I were texting a little bit because he had watched it. So I was asking him how spoilery it was and if it's worth checking out. And so he convinced me to check it out. But I've only watched it once. Like, considering how I normally break down trailers and watch them numerous times, once is pretty good for me, I think. So I don't want to really spend a lot of time diving into it because I sort of want to forget some of that stuff within the next couple months. So I didn't want to do a podcast on it because I didn't want to try to really speculate and memorize all the shit that is in the trailer that I want to sort of save for the movie. Try to go into it, I guess, pretty clean. Did anybody else besides Mike watch the trailer? Was it just me and Mike?
I intentionally avoided it.
Okay.
I figured if you said we were going to talk about it, I'd watch it. If not, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I didn't know how much you were looking to get into all the marketing and trailers and stuff for that movie, so I didn't want to force it on people. Andy, did you watch it?
I did not.
I
did not watch it. No.
Because you try to stay away from a lot of that stuff too, right?
It generally, like, I think there are movie studios that do a really poor job of spoiling fucking everything in the trailers. but given the
sorry, let me clear my throat there.
but given the Star Wars Episode 7 trailers, which really didn't reveal a tremendous amount, I may check this one out.
Yeah.
I don't think it revealed anything other than like one thing that we already knew. We kind of that's what we talked about earlier.
Well, depending on how well you follow, like you and I follow the movie, I think more. It dives in, it does reveal a relationship for Felicity Jones's character, that Jyn Erso.
Okay.
The main character.
Yeah. So you get a little bit more of like why she's involved in this whole thing. There's a specific reason for that, which they show in the trailer. So depending on whether or not you consider that a spoiler, they'll probably dive into that within the first 15 minutes of the film. So,
yeah, I mean that's I wouldn't say that that's
because if the trailers cut anything like the way the way the film will start, the whole reason she's there is going to open the film.
Well, I mean, given the piece that they chose to do this about, I mean, we kind of already know what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not much spoiling the end of it, you know.
Right.
Yeah. We know they get the Death Star plan.
Right.
Spoilers.
Although, you know, it could be a series. Maybe they fail this time and they got to make another movie before they actually obtain
Rogue
them.
2.
Yeah. I don't
I
know.
would
3
be
years.
extremely pissed off if they did something like that.
They want all these spin-offs to be standalone films, and yet the first one is the first part of a trilogy. You know, we joke about it. I'd still fucking see the sequel. I wouldn't care.
It's Star Wars, right? I mean, you'd have to.
Exactly. You've given me the first part of a story. Now I must see what happens next.
Yeah, I'd see it too. So.
Don't let this get out to Lucasfilm and Disney. We don't.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
they'll
we're just
think it's a
printing
good
money for
idea. Yeah, like, wait, they will see it if we do it. No, let's not tell them that.
These guys are dumber than we thought.
They're on record saying they'll see it multiple times. Yeah, I do think. I mean, I'm not sad that I saw it, so that's good. I do think it's a good trailer. It's really good on the action. I think the action in the movie looks really, really good.
Yeah,
and it's the first. Like Force Awakens did a little bit, but I feel like it's the first Star Wars movie that feels kind of artistic. Like, I think some of the shots that Gareth Edwards does that we've seen in the trailer are just magnificent.
Yeah, they are.
I can't wait to see some of them. There's got to be more in the movie.
I would argue against that, though, saying that even in A New Hope, I mean, one of the most beautiful shots in all of Star Wars movies ever. Yeah, I mean, it's just Luke standing there looking at the sunset.
Yeah, I guess yeah, maybe that's a bad word. I'm not saying like the original trilogy.
I think that's more iconic, though.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was artistic at the time. It's become iconic.
Yeah, I guess, maybe that's a bad choice of words. I'm not saying the other ones aren't artistic. I guess maybe it's just sticking out to me more with this one. I don't know, maybe just because it's new shots. Like, just
Yeah.
the way he frames stuff and puts stuff in the picture, it's stuff that I've never seen in a Star Wars movie before, so it really stands out to me.
Sure. I mean, I kind of feel like Jakku had that feeling in Force Awakens with the...
That's true.
You know, the down Star Destroyers, and, it was very new ideas. They never really had shown something like that before.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, now the Force Awakens kind of feels like old news, and we're on to the next one already. Which is sad to say, but I'm just really excited for all the Star Wars stuff that's coming.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty much, it seems like, going to be getting a Star Wars film a year for a good while now.
Yeah.
And
no issue with
that's
that.
Not a bad thing.
Yeah,
that's not a bad thing.
We can't complain yet.
Yeah, yet. As long as they remain quality, it's all good.
Right. All right, so that's all we're going to talk about for Star Wars, for the Rogue One trailer, I think. Hopefully, again, as long as I keep to I'm not going to watch it again, we're not going to really dive into it, that should hopefully be the last you hear about it. I think it's worth checking out if you want to check it out, but otherwise we'll try to save all of our Rogue One discussion until after we see the movie, which is like 2 months away.
You know what trailer I'm waiting for? There's another Assassin's Creed trailer.
Well, that's true. We only got the first one. That's due in December too, right around Rogue One. So
it's the week before or the week after. Week after.
I think it's the week after.
Because Rogue One's the 17th-ish.
Yeah,
somewhere on there.
17, 18, like right something like that.
And Assassin's Creed's like the 23rd, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, you're right. It is 2 months away from that too, and we've only got the first trailer.
Yeah. All
right. Well, hopefully we get some of that. We'll talk about that one whenever they release the second trailer for that.
I mean, that's got my money. There's no doubt.
Yeah, that'll be one to look forward to at some point. Once they give us more material to talk about. Mm-hmm. So all right. So for this episode, we're finally going to be talking about some Luke Cage, which we put off last week. But we're still only going to be talking about the first 4 episodes. Most of us haven't gone past that, so that's where we're sticking. We'll probably get to a more comprehensive review sometime later once we all get a chance to finish the series. But we'll probably put that at the end of the show. Before we really get into the Luke Cage stuff, there are some New York Comic-Con news that happened. I guess last weekend was New York Comic-Con. Traditionally, it doesn't really have, I don't feel like, a lot of high-profile news that come out of the convention. Normally, it's like San Diego Comic-Con that gets all the big stuff. But New York had some good ones, I think, that are worth talking about. So we'll dive into some of those, starting with one of the trailers we're going to cover, which isn't necessarily comic book related, but it's a movie that I fucking love, and they're making another one, so I'm really fucking excited about it. Is John Wick 2. Keanu Reeves comes back for John Wick 2. Did everybody see the first John Wick? Did anybody not see it?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
About 15 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Making sure we're on the same page here.
I still get pissed off when they kill the dog at the beginning.
Oh, man, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Any dog
that's in the
that's ever
first 5
been
minutes.
killed in a movie, it just pisses you off.
Yeah.
And then, but this one, it's like finally some fucking revenge for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's fucking
Like-
awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, Andy, you haven't seen this movie?
Oh, I've seen it multiple
Oh,
times.
okay.
What are you talking about?
Oh, sorry. I thought like the way you reacted to the dog. I mean, I should know.
No, yeah, no, it just pisses you off so much, and then you're just like, everything he does is completely justified.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Taking down a whole entire Russian crime syndicate, or whatever the hell they are. Totally worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that universe has this lived-in feel. And it's like, he's retired or whatever at the beginning of the first one, and then when people start throwing around John Wick's name, everyone's like, oh, fuck, don't screw with that guy.
Yeah. They called him the fucking boogeyman. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that they did an amazing job with bringing like a new element to the action scenes. The thing that always resonates with me is like the one scene in the house where he's using the guns is though they're brass knuckles. He's just,
Oh, yeah.
instead of punching people, he's throwing the gun at them. that was just like, it was an entirely new idea where it was just like, just a fucking awesome scene.
Well, it was
I
one
like
of
how
those-
it was like all like the code words, but it, like, I want to make a dinner reservation for 12. That means there's, you gotta come pick up 10, 12 dead dudes,
Yeah.
It's just, but I think the best part was like, it was like, just like totally calm. Like, it was just like, man, whatever, just making a phone call.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like part of that world. That's just what happens in this universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the action, like Mike was saying, I love that it's one of the few movies I can think of anyway where when you get the gunplay, you're not just like shooting limbs. He's headshotting every motherfucker that comes at him.
And he's doing it very quickly, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
Like without a thought, just turn, don't have to look, shoot somebody here.
Yeah.
Speaking of like the shooting and stuff like that, like a couple months ago, there was a video leak that when he was at the shooting range, like training.
oh, yes. I was
Yeah,
going to
I
ask
saw
you guys if you guys watched that.
Dude's legit.
That is crazy.
I mean, it blows me away how good he is with that stuff. I mean, like legit firearms expert almost, you know.
That had to have been like SWAT team or something training him, right? Something like that.
Probably. I think either that or like competitive shooters and stuff like that. That they do the close quarter tracks.
Yeah.
That's kind of really what they were doing. But I mean, damn.
And while I'm thinking about it too, did anybody else hear this? But I thought I heard somewhere after the fact that the directors for Civil War, Anthony and Joe Russo, got the choreographers for John Wick to help in the airport sequence of Civil War.
Ooh.
Smart.
That's an interesting tidbit. I didn't hear that before, but
I could have sworn
that's
I
awesome.
read that somewhere.
I want to know who choreographed the fight scene with. I could see that more because that fight scene seemed more realistic.
In all the close quarters in there too.
The Iron Man versus Winter Soldier and Cap fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that could have been them too if they had him on the movie.
Especially the way that was all filmed. That would absolutely. I would if I were to guess that would have to be the same people.
See, now I gotta like fact check myself.
If that's true, yeah.
Well, and I had heard that this, like, John Wick 2 is just, like, part 2 of a trilogy.
Yeah, I think I already heard they're talking about a third one.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, like, it got enough response from the first one that, I mean, when you look and watch the trailer, you can see already in the cast, it's significantly more high profile than the first one was.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, that just shows, like, why this movie's getting a trilogy. I don't think it was originally planned that way at all, but the response it got is pushing that.
I just hope it doesn't take it like a step down in quality, kind of like Taken did, with like Taken 2 and Taken 3.
Yeah.
You know, I like those movies, and Taken 1
3 is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Taken 2 is okay.
Taken 2 isn't bad,
bad.
But,
Isn't Taken 3 the one where he's like telling her to throw grenades or something like that so he can figure out where she... Oh, that's the second one. That was ridiculous, too.
The part that gets me in the second one is the whole beginning of the movie, she can't drive. Like, she can't even drive, like, automatic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, they're getting in a car chase. She's driving a stick shift taxi, and she's just whipping it around and shifting like a madman. Like, where the fuck did you learn to do that? Up until that point, you do not know how to drive, period.
It's in her genes.
Don't give me that shit.
Yes, it's the skills that were handed down.
Yes.
It's called lazy storytelling.
Yeah.
So Chad Stahelski and David Leitch, the guys that directed John Wick, used to be stunt coordinators before that. And so I guess after they did John Wick, they did help for Civil War.
Cool.
The article I'm looking at does not specifically mention what sequences they did, just that they consulted and helped for Civil War.
That they probably just consulted and helped the entire movie then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you have it.
That's
my little tidbit. So what did you guys think of we all love the first one. What did you think of the trailer for this one?
It's in Rome, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, he's globetrotting now.
Yeah, it is cool to kind of see like a different destination or location, I guess, to have him kick some ass.
I gotta just go on a real quick tangent. I mean, it's not really a tangent, but like, before anybody knew that John Wick 2 was being filmed, that was when I was in Italy. And we ate at a restaurant when we were in Rome. That it was like this little hole in the wall place that the people at the hotel told us to go to. That like, because my dad spoke spoke Italian, so he like was fitting in with everybody. We weren't just tourists. So they said to go to this restaurant. So we went, ate phenomenal food. I mean, probably one of the best meals I ever ate. Liked them on Facebook, and then like a month later, not even a month later, I see pictures posted on freaking Facebook. Keanu Reeves is sitting here eating dinner at the same table that I sat at, and he looked just like John Wick. I go, he's making another John Wick movie. As soon as I saw that, and then the announcement came out like a couple months later that they were making John Wick 2.
Nice. Get the inside scoop.
Fuck yeah, I did.
I mean, dude, one of the things I took from the trailer, like, just the presence of Lawrence Fishburne and what he's gonna like mean for that is just gonna be interesting. Like, what's his role actually gonna be?
Morpheus.
Yeah.
Wow.
Red or blue pill.
Yeah. It's just like bringing those two back together. It's kind of like
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a missed opportunity if they don't make some sort of Matrix reference in there.
Yeah, there definitely should be something. Maybe the red or blue gun. Who knows? I mean, like,
Lawrence Fishburne's codename is Neo.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that like you could tell they definitely got probably twice as much of a budget for this movie than they did the first one. I think it seems like they have a lot more to work with. So if they're painting it as sort of like another revenge thing. I'm trying to wonder, like, what the hell sets him off to go after people?
Yeah, I really...
They're not going to kill his dog again.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Like, I really hope they don't kill the fucking dog again.
Yeah, there is a scene with him with another dog.
I know, and I'm pretty sure
that trailer there. So,
well, it's at least the same breed that he seemed to have picked out at the end of the first one. So,
right.
I would just wonder if it's. My thought would be it's just blowback from what he did in the first one.
Oh, like,
and it kind of just continues on.
Like the crime syndicate that he took down was actually like a smaller part of a bigger one.
Yeah, and they come after him again and maybe kill his dog again. I don't know.
I don't think you can kill his dog again.
Yeah, that would be brutal.
Yeah, but I mean that's what it was about the first time too. Is like kill a man's dog once, and that's what happens. What happens when he kills his dog twice?
Yeah,
like, well, John Leguizamo's in it, so maybe like, and they seem to be kind of like friendish as far as John Wick had a friend, I guess.
Oh,
so maybe they kill him.
Oh yeah, maybe. He wasn't even really in the first one for very long.
No, he was just a chop shop dude. But he still talked to him, and maybe.
Do we know if he's going to be in Chapter 2?
Yeah, he's it. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. I like John Leguizamo.
Because Defoe was like his actual friend in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
He was great in that movie too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sad to see him go.
Yeah.
Spoilers for people who have not seen John Wick 1.
Oh,
I'll cut that comment out. We'll be fine. But seriously, who hasn't seen John Wick?
I know a few people.
At this point, if you haven't, spoilers don't qualify. I don't think. Like it's been long enough now.
Anybody that's probably listening to this has probably watched that movie. So
I would think so.
We would hope so.
My guess. You know.
So this looks like it'll be another Valentine's Day movie. It's in February.
Okay.
I have it saved on my DVR. I hope my DVR never craps out because I don't have to go buy the damn movie. Because find it for like $10 it's one of those movies that I could just put in and just watch, just put on and just watch any time. It doesn't matter. You just put it on and be like, yeah, I'll watch that.
Yeah.
Jess even wants to go. Yeah. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Valentine's Day.
That's one of those movies where you wouldn't mind if there was like a channel that just showed it 24/7.
Just pick it up whatever point it's at.
Yeah, just kind of like
in for 10-15 minutes and move on.
Kind of like A Christmas Story on Christmas, you're just kind of like, eventually you watch the whole movie at certain points in the day.
Yeah.
It looks like they've been playing The Equalizer, Denzel's movie, a lot lately.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Oh, I love that movie. They've been playing. That's another one of the, like, you just put John Wick and The Equalizer on back to back, I'm good. There goes 4 hours of my life.
We should just program an action movie station. Just put some of the better action movies just on repeat all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be interesting.
Every Monday you get this set of movies. Every Tuesday you get this set of movies.
Yeah, you could have like a John Wick Wednesday,
Wick Wednesday. Yeah. Fast and Furious Fridays.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't want those movies on there. That was just the first thing that came to my head.
First F that came in.
Taken Tuesdays.
Matrix Mondays.
You just keep going. We got a couple more days. Finish it off. Yeah. What's Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday?
Now
I
put you on
Saturday. I stalled. My brain just stalled.
Just do like Bloodsport Saturdays. Just don't even try for an S. Just throw Bloodsport in there. Just be like, do it.
What if it's like Steven Seagal Saturday or something?
Oh yeah.
Wait, I got one yeah, and I got a cringe. I think we're in disagreement on that one.
Hey, Under Siege 2.
All right.
Under Siege.
Stallone Saturday.
There you
Okay,
go.
There you go. That'll work.
Schwarzenegger
And then
Saturday.
Schwarzenegger Sundays.
Yeah.
There you go.
I love
Dude,
this idea.
I think we just stumbled onto a freaking brilliant idea.
We need to start a television network.
Yeah.
I
think
that was the purpose.
Who can we call? Let's call Ted Turner.
We just have to get all the
Fry Guy and his Super Friends channel.
have to get all the rights to play all these movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant idea, though. I like this the more and more we talk about it. Start tweeting everybody. We'll see if that goes anywhere.
Yeah.
All right, so out of the action movie genre, we're gonna go to the Power Rangers. We got a Power Rangers trailer.
That's an action movie.
Yeah,
Ish.
it's
Kid.
Action
getting
adventure.
promoted that way, I guess. Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
action reboot. I've actually been waiting to see what this movie's going to look like. We talked about it previously on the show between casting and looks at the costumes and stuff like that. And I mean, for anyone that hasn't been following along, some of the cast is actually kind of exciting to me. We get Elizabeth Banks playing Rita Repulsa. Bryan Cranston is cast as Zordon, and Bill Hader was recently announced as playing Alpha.
Yeah. But everybody else, like the main characters that you're going to deal with the majority of the time, I have no clue who any of them are.
Yeah, all the Rangers are
Yeah.
new people.
They're all... Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I guess I prefer. Like, I'd rather have them be unknown people than
True.
bringing back like original cast. Well, unless it was like original cast members, but I think they're getting too old for stuff like that.
I like the suits. The suits look cool. I mean,
The
they're
Iron
not
Man,
just-
Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm still not sold on the suits. I'd like to see the suits in action. I think.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, this is one of those movies I will not be seeing the opening weekend. I mean, I'll probably wait till it comes out on video, but just because. I don't know. I don't know. It's just unless I see a better trailer right now, I'm just like.
Were you not a fan of the Rangers growing up?
Well, you figure I'm older than you guys, so like.
It doesn't
It
matter.
was kind of like Andy and I were a little bit older at the time.
Yeah, I kind of like the first
So-
iteration of the Power Rangers just because it
That-
reminded me
that-
a lot of
yeah.
Voltron.
Yeah. Oh, there's a. Speaking of, I saw on Facebook today there was like a Voltron versus a Megazord face-off, like mashup or something like that.
I think I did see that. I didn't watch the video, but I
I
saw
didn't watch
it.
it either. I forgot. I just
Voltron
briefly saw it.
would kick the shit out of the
Fuck
Megazord.
yeah, would. Voltron's a defender of the universe.
He
dude.
is. Da, 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 da.
You love singing that song,
I do.
don't you?
I do. I love it.
Great. Great. I wish I had the old school Voltron cartoons.
That one on Netflix is still pretty pimp.
It is
I like
pretty
that.
good.
It
It's
is.
pretty good.
Season 2's coming out, beginning of next year, I think.
Booyah.
Yeah, I think I did hear that.
Mm-hmm. And toys are starting to, the toy line's starting to come out too. I already
Oh, they're
told Jess,
doing-
I was like, I might have to buy some Voltron toys.
Are they doing based on the Netflix show?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, back
so-
to Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mike wasn't really a fan. Andy, you said you watched it a little bit.
I like the first iteration of the Power Rangers after they went to like samurais and ninjas and what else? Knights,
Yeah.
slugs, whatever the fuck they were. You know, like I couldn't pay attention for any of that shit.
Yeah, I
so.
think I fell off after one of those iterations. I watched the main core group for a while. The Mighty Morphin
Yeah.
was the ones I watched. But yeah, once it went to like Dino and Samurai and whatever the hell, I lost track.
Yeah.
Well, that was going to be my question with the trailer. Is there going to be the Transformer version of the Power Rangers going on at the end there?
What do you mean by that?
Like where they have the, I don't know, whatever you call it. They turn into the,
The Megazord stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, they
or-
really didn't show that at all in the trailer.
No.
Which is, for me, that's actually kind of surprising that I got this invested in the trailer and I'm looking forward to the movie this much when they didn't show them in the suits and they didn't show the Megazords.
Yeah, you would have figured that they would at least showed us like the it's morphin time, scene.
Yeah.
something.
Like
yeah.
the transformation into the not
Well, it's
transformation.
it's listed as a teaser trailer, so it definitely teases. It doesn't really give too much away. Like, I think it shows pretty much what you'd expect from a Power Rangers movie. The troubled teen, like what the hell, the opening for Mighty Morphin had Zordon talking to Alpha saying like, bring us teens with attitude. And then they get these really good natured teens like to be Power Rangers, you're like, they don't have attitudes.
Yeah, they were about as clean cut
attitudes.
as it came.
I mean, at least these teenagers look like there are troubled teens that have attitudes and.
I feel like it was kind of like the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, I've heard it because I think I'm going to give Josh props. I think he actually put on the Facebook page when I posted the trailer. He said it feels like Breakfast Club meets Chronicle.
I still have not seen that movie.
Kudos, Josh. Kudos.
And then he actually put up an article that do you guys know who Max Landis is? Writer that I don't know. He's very vocal on social media about like what he's involved in and writing scripts and stuff like that. But I guess he wrote Chronicle.
Okay.
Or at least helped write Chronicle. He claims he was fired from Power Rangers. Like he came on, wrote a script that the way he describes it sounded like it was more in line with the campy, kind of cheesy 90s show. And they fired him and a couple other writers, and then he says they made Chronicle. So they fired him from doing what was closer in line with, I guess, what the TV show was, and they fired him and then made it a movie, make it look like a movie that he did write a couple years ago. So that was kind of funny, I guess. But the Chronicle comparisons they're getting thrown out there a lot, I think, for this movie, or at least from the trailer.
Yeah, because it seemed like it was like I don't know what do you call that, like the video footage? Is that like third person?
It's like the found footage stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, this one wasn't found footage, but
it seemed like a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it just was me.
I think it was more of like the kids like stumble across some
twice,
sort of. They like end up going in a cave, finding some sort of ship or something that now gives them superpowers, and then they're learning to use them. That's basically Chronicle.
So I don't remember the old Power Rangers being like super strong when they weren't in the suits. But this one seems to be showing them like, I can punch through a rock and I'm not in like my power suit.
The one scene even kind of like shows like the Peter Parker transformation, like looking at himself in the mirror, like where are all these new muscles that are going on here? And it's kind of
I was gonna ask what you guys thought about that. If like they're basically make them into superheroes now,
right?
Like I thought from the show it was like the suits sort of gave them power. Like they were pretty worthless outside of their suits,
right?
I mean, they could all like defend themselves against other humans,
except for the
stuff,
Green Ranger.
But
Tommy,
you saying he was bad or worse than everybody else?
He was bad. He was badass.
I mean, he's the obvious favorite, I think, from most people.
Well, the one thing I noticed, like,
because he was the only one who was like a legit martial artist.
Yeah. I mean, speaking like of the colors of the Rangers and everything. The original show, if you really think about it,
that was racist.
Was a little bit of, it was definitely kind of racist, You had the Asian girl
and was a black dude.
Yeah. And the white girl was in pink. I mean, from what I could tell, if you like look at the stones they're holding, I think they kind of intentionally went off of that. And
I wouldn't be surprised.
We're like, you know what? We're not going to do it that way in this one, just because, that would just be bad.
The only obvious one that I know of, and I don't know if they specifically say it in the trailer, but the black guy in the trailer is Billy, the blue one.
Yeah.
So they didn't make the black guy the Black Ranger.
Yeah,
so
he's the Blue Ranger, right?
Yeah. So they're changing that up. I still think I think she's a little bit more Oriental, but the Yellow Ranger I think is still going to be that, and then the white chick is still the Pink Ranger. So it seems like everything
Ranger,
else might just be a white guy. Oh yeah, the Indian guy. Sorry.
You should, wait.
Yeah, so they're
Is Jason David Frank going to make an appearance? The Green Ranger? Is he going to make an appearance?
I don't think any original guys are coming back.
They would hide cameos like that, though, I think.
Yeah, they would be cool cameos, though.
I thought
I'm waiting for like Butch and Skull.
Coming out.
Waiting for Butch and Skull to show up.
Bulk and Skull.
Bulk and Skull, that's it, yeah. Dude, it's been a long time, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see cameos from them. I don't expect cameos from the actual Rangers from the original. Yeah, I don't know. Do we really... We sort of started talking about it. I don't know if we really answered it, but how we feel about them sort of having superpowers without the suits.
I don't know. I think
that
it's
idea or not like that idea.
I think it's kind of a cop out, honestly.
You
don't
must just
like
wonder
that.
if that's just them trying to get it away from being too much like Iron Man. Like, ooh, you get a super suit that makes you super strong. Like you're like they're just legitimately turned into superheroes, and the suit just adds to it a little bit more.
Well, here's the thing I sort of watched, or my theory, I guess, maybe from watching the trailer a couple times. I think it's not the suits that give them powers. I think it's the morphers, like the power coin things that they put in the morphers.
That's what it looked like, yeah.
Because it seems like every time, like even that scene in the bathroom when you see him with like the chiseled chest and all that stuff, and he breaks the sink, the power coin is in the room with him. It's on the sink. So I don't know if it's just like proximity to the coin is what gives them, like maybe they have that in their back pocket with them the whole time.
I don't understand why they would need to switch to the suits then. They wouldn't need to.
I mean,
maybe the suits are going to add something more this time.
Yeah, you need at least some sort of armor, I think, if you're taking on like aliens and shit.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
yeah,
if we're going superheroes, I mean, Cap doesn't, Hawkeye doesn't, Black Widow
They're just
doesn't.
more badass than the Power Rangers. That's all that is.
Well, I mean, Cap has a shield, for one, and in certain iterations in the comic books, his suit is made similar to the way Black Panther's is, with vibranium built into it. So he still is kind of wearing armor.
There you go.
Take that, Andy.
Yeah, but it's
Mike Bradley throwing down the gauntlet.
It's nowhere
Drop
near
the
as protective, I guess, as like maybe Tony Stark's is, or as technologically advanced, I guess, as the Iron Suit.
Yeah,
I mean, they
curious
couldn't do
to see
spandex again, so they had to do something.
Yeah.
You know,
I just think they made it look way too similar to an Iron Man armor.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially like the one picture I keep seeing. It's like it shows just like kind of like all five of them kind of just in a row, and but it's just like their heads. Like it's just like one like stepped after another.
Yeah.
And the black dude looks like Don Cheadle. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
is it the poster with like the face masks? Like they're in the armor, but the face mask is up.
Yeah, that's exactly it. If you look at that, just like look at it quickly, and you're like, oh, it's Don Cheadle. Oh wait, no, it's not. War Machine? No.
Yeah, I think the comparisons are valid. I'm hoping they do things different than what an Iron Man suit will do. Like if they start doing like the under the hood look, like Tony Stark and War Machine when they're in the helmet.
Oh, yeah, no.
That's a total ripoff from Iron Man.
I think Marvel might have something to say about that if they do that, though.
If they fly, or like
suddenly they have rocket boosters, and repulsors.
I think more MCU might have something to say about that if that happens.
I mean, would they hold a copyright on like a heads-up display inside of a helmet? I don't think they could come after them for that.
I don't know. They kind of made that, so maybe.
But it's not a new thing. It's just that camera angle is a new thing.
Yeah, I don't know that they could copyright a camera angle. I don't know actually though. That's not.
Well, I guess we'll find out once we see the movie. If they do it, we'll see if Marvel comes after them.
Who owns the Power Rangers? Is it a Fox?
Saban.
I know, but like
Saban and Bandai, ain't it?
I think Bandai does the toys.
Is it part of any of the other? Like, is it
I
part
thought
of one
Saban was like its own thing.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like a conglomerate, like how like Marvel and Lucas is part of Disney and whatnot.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's its own thing.
If anything, I think it would be tied to something probably Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be tied into something along those lines that doesn't air anything over here, really.
Because I thought Saban was a person. I think it's the name of the company, but I think it's named after a dude.
Yeah.
Because I heard that dude is like an asshole.
I think you're right.
Oh, really?
Like, just terrible, like, working conditions for all the people that worked on Power Rangers. Like, I don't think too many people have nice things to say about working on the Power Ranger shows. And that's all stems from that guy. Who just wants to pump out more stuff for more toys. I think it's one of those type of things.
That was one of the big reasons that they kept changing the Power Rangers.
Oh, yeah, it sells more toys.
Right, yeah, the kids aren't going to, want the toys if they don't appear on television this way, so we're going to change them again.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to bring up, there's one scene near the end where we get Elizabeth Banks' Rita talking to, I think, the girl that's playing Kimberly. One of the Rangers, anyway. Mm-hmm. Do we think that seems like a dream, or you think that's real? Because Rita's definitely pulling some, like, Zol shit.
Yeah.
Like, just floating above the bed.
I think it would be really cool to have a more badass Rita, because she really didn't do much of anything in the series. So
she had a good evil laugh,
except for throwing what were they called, putties at them all the time.
Well, yeah, we better get some fucking putties in this movie.
Putty Patrol. Putty Patrol. I can't believe I remember this shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm lost on some of it.
Yeah, it was the gray-suited guys that just that flail their arms and
the faceless
mumble.
minions.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you'll probably get some assimilation of that, but I don't think
there'll be robots in this movie.
Yeah, could be.
And then we'll get Ultron comparisons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely. I'm hoping Elizabeth Banks brings something to this role. I think she could really nail it. I think she'll go for it pretty hard. So I'm anxious to see what she does.
No one would mind Elizabeth Banks going for anything really hard. So.
Yeah, when I said that, and no one
I
said
didn't want to be
anything
the one to say it
right away.
Yeah, I think we were all just kind of.
I just put my head down and just kept my mouth shut.
And on that note, we're going to segue to... So some other news that came out of New York. We got some news on Hayley Atwell returning for Peggy Carter. Fans have probably heard of Peggy Carter just from... She's been in some Captain America movies. She had her own TV show for a while. Agent Carter lasted 2 seasons before it got canceled. So it was... I think there's been like fan petitions trying to get Agent Carter back for a 3rd season, which haven't gone anywhere.
I think they're trying to get it on Netflix now, too.
I'm just trying to get it everywhere, just anywhere that'll take it.
I don't really care.
I wouldn't mind if they do like a 4 or 5 episode like miniseries thing, just to sort of wrap up what they left hanging.
Yeah, that's all I need.
Yeah, I don't need a full season.
Yeah.
But I mean, Hayley Atwell's always been open to returning as Peggy Carter in one form or another. So it was announced at New York she will be reprising her role as Peggy Carter, but it's going to be in an animated cartoon. So from what I can gather, the cartoon is going to be called Marvel's Avengers Secret Wars, which is actually considered season 4 of Avengers Assemble, which is the current Avengers cartoon that's on, I think, Disney XD.
Yep.
Which I guess season 3 of Avengers Assemble, they retitled it Marvel's Avengers Ultron Revolution. So now for season 4, they're changing the title again, which seems really fucking confusing.
They do that with a lot of those cartoons, because they were doing that with the Spider-Man Web Warriors, too.
Was that the one that used to be Ultimate Spider-Man, and then they changed it to Is it Web Warriors now?
Yeah. That's exactly... Yep.
See, that makes it seem like a different show when you change the title.
Yeah.
So that that confuses me, and I'm an adult.
Ultimate Spider-Man Web Warriors. So it's like just like a different
subtitle.
Yeah.
All right, I guess I could sort of see that.
And it's still Marvel's Avengers Assemble subtitle.
Yeah, I guess they're throwing the Marvel name in front of this.
Oh, yeah, of course you got to.
Because it used to be just Avengers Assemble. Now it's Marvel's Avengers, and then they're throwing something with it. But
it's called branding, Brian.
Oh yeah, that's true too. So Marvel's Avengers Secret Wars. Does anybody remember Secret Wars from the comics? I'm pretty sure they're basing it off like I'm assuming the 80s storyline.
I would hope, because the new one is a nightmare. But it did say that in what I was reading about it this season, they're going to be taking on Kang.
And can you summarize him? Do you know him pretty well?
Not well enough to give
Kang
you a
the
lot,
Conqueror.
but
yeah, he's some sort of
Kang the
intergalactic threat. That's pretty much all I know.
Intergalactic time-traveling threat.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he
Time
does
manipulating.
play a big part in the original Secret Wars, but correct me if I'm wrong, the original Secret Wars is the Beyonder.
Yep.
And
Dr. Doom.
Yeah. So in the new one, the new Secret Wars would need so much like backstory with it to make it work, I would feel like it changes so many damn things, introduces new universes and different.
Oh, you mean the one they just recently did in the comics within the last year or so?
Yeah. It brings the Ultimate Universe into the standard universe, and
I don't think kids are ready for that one.
No, it's too convoluted.
You know what? They're calling it Secret Wars. There probably won't even be anything even remotely close to either of the Secret Wars.
They could touch on Secret
all three
Warriors,
of them.
maybe. Yeah, I mean, the Secret Warriors could be something they touch on. Especially with Civil War just coming out. I mean, it could be something that they
that's true.
go towards, but I don't know.
Well, for people unfamiliar, the 80s Secret Wars storyline, can anybody sort of summarize that or briefly?
Okay, basically the Beyonder portals, transports, like all of the most powerful beings from within the Marvel Universe to, was it the moon, a planet? I want to say it was...
I thought it was like an unnamed planet. It wasn't as close as the moon. I thought it was somewhere else.
Yeah, it was definitely somewhere else, because it didn't look like the moon at all. And he's putting them into battle against one another, and it gets interesting because they kind of have to work with the villains to take on the Beyonder to get through everything. It's been a while since I read this.
Doom takes on the Beyonder's powers.
Right.
Black Suit Spider-Man's introduced. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where the symbiote suit comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And...
that'd be issue 8.
Yeah.
Just if you want to know that. I have 4 copies.
Four copies of the same issue.
Mm-hmm.
Is it
when I sold my
covers or
collection,
exactly
I had...
the same?
All the same.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all the same.
They didn't have variants back then, Brian.
I don't know.
The 80s didn't have variants.
When I sold my collection a couple years ago, I had, I want to say 2 of them. And one was like awful that I'd had for 12 years, 15 years, something like that. And the other one I had picked up as a really nice copy. And it just, I'll tell you, don't sell your collection, kids. It's not. But no, I did it to buy a house.
I'm in the process of rebuilding mine, so.
I have yet to start. I'm still putting the house back together, but hopefully I get to do that soon. But as far as Peggy Carter goes, what I had read about that upcoming season is that her appearance is going to be more of a cameo and not a recurring role. I had read that it was going to be like 1 episode.
And that's kind of what I expect. It would have to be, because I mean, you figure Peggy Carter in her heyday was World War II.
Yeah.
And if they're doing anything remotely current, even if it is the 80s, it's still going to be the 80s. I mean, that's 40 years difference. I mean,
well, like you said, Kang, if it's Kang the Conqueror and he uses time travel, he could pull her in from the 40s.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he uses time travel or he can manipulate time.
All right, so either way.
Well, yeah.
He could be the reason she's there in, like, present day or something like that.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if they're labeling this season Secret Wars. Do we think this is going to last a full season? Like, I feel like this could be like an event thing for a couple episodes, and then
they'll find some way to drag it out for a full season.
Well, yeah, I mean, Secret Wars kind of it did drag on because they're fighting the Beyonder originally, and then like Mike said, they get the Doctor Doom takes on the Beyonder's powers, so it shifts from one to the other, and.
Because you figure, there's been 3 Secret Wars series so far. There was Secret Wars 1 in the 80s, Secret Wars 2, which was the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Maybe mid-80s at the latest. And then the most recent one. So they might do a combination of everything, or like, my thought is it's not going to be nothing like any of them. It's just going to be, they're just calling it Secret Wars just to play off of what just happened. And...
Yeah, but I feel like if you're trying to get
totally different,
if you're getting kids to watch, kids don't traditionally read the comics, especially the new ones, so they wouldn't even heard of this new Secret Wars that just happened last year.
Well, then they absolutely wouldn't hear stuff from 30 years ago.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, I think it's a way for them to tell that story to a new generation.
Yeah,
I'll play your silly game. Andy, you're being really quiet. You gonna play your silly game?
I was just going to ask if I don't really know much about the Marvel animated universe. I don't know what you would call it, but does it have any correlation to the MCU?
I don't think it does.
No.
I mean, I feel like they tailor some.
I don't watch a lot of it either.
I've caught a little bit. I think the Avengers Assemble cartoon is on Netflix. Like, if you want to watch it, the first couple seasons I think are there.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I put it on sometimes just when I want something on the background.
Ultimate Spider-Man's on there too.
Yeah, I haven't dived into that one because I wasn't sure how I felt about that.
But the fact
I don't like how he breaks the fourth wall and talks like little pictures and shit like that. That kind of irritates me. But Yeah, I feel like they tailor it after the movies. Like, if you've seen the MCU movies and then jump on the cartoon, you'll feel right at home because it's those types of characters.
Okay. It's kind of a cop-out then for Hayley Atwell to be in the MCU, and then now she's just a voice in the animated universe. I mean, that kind of sucks because I thought her character was actually pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, she's great.
And I haven't even seen the show. So
the sad thing for her is...
The show is not that good. I'll just tell you that right now.
I mean, the sad thing is it's probably the only way she can reprise the character now. Her TV show's canceled. They killed her off in Civil War. They're not going back to the 40s for any type of movie.
No.
So, like, this is it.
And she's got a new TV show right now.
Oh, that's right. Like,
she's got a new TV show on TV.
Conviction?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So, she is otherwise preoccupied.
The only way I see her making her way back into the MCU is if they decide to resurrect the Red Skull, and they need to go back to they need to go back to the 40s, 50s, 60s, something like that to hash out his return in some way.
Which
I wish they would.
Which could happen now because Hugo Weaving didn't he just say that he actually enjoyed his role as the Red Skull?
More or less.
I think he said he's willing to do it again.
Yeah.
And
what work is he doing lately? He's like, I need money. This is
what money does Hugo Weaving need? I mean, the guy's. I just figure he's been in everything that made shit tons of money, except for Harry Potter, which.
Never know, man. People spend money in crazy ways.
It's true.
I think at the time his biggest complaint was the makeup. Like, he didn't like the mask that they made him wear. So I don't know if they're going to find a way.
Phenomenal. So
it was a really good, yeah. I don't know if they'd like to appease him. If they would either find a better way to do prosthetics or CG his head or something.
Well, you're also thinking that's also 8 years ago now, 6 years ago. They made the first one. Captain America 6 years ago.
Yeah, I don't remember what year.
I want to say 2010 or 2011.
Yeah,
2011 sounds right.
Let's just say 5 or 6 Avengers. Ago. So I'm sure they've come up with better ways to do prosthetic stuff now.
Oh, I'm sure.
With makeup stuff. So tell him to put his big girl pants on and get out there.
You hear that?
Well,
Hugo Weaving, Mike Romano tells you.
I just called you out, Hugo. What are you gonna do about it, H. Smith?
Does anybody actually? I guess we sort of touched on it, but does anybody actually watch or has watched the Avengers Assemble cartoon?
Nope.
I have.
I've watched maybe 3 or 4 episodes.
Okay.
And it was just felt too much like a child's cartoon for me.
It is. It's too kiddie.
Yeah,
I actually liked the other version they had prior to that they canceled to bring Avengers Assemble on. I think
that was the better one. It was just called
Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That was it, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that one was really good. They did a lot of good stories. Like the Ultron story in that was really good.
Mm-hmm. Then because they started getting into the Kree, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then they kind of just stopped.
Yeah, the Skrulls and everything. The Skrulls were coming in.
And then
that was around then when they got canceled.
Yep.
That was another one that was on Netflix for a while, and I started catching up to that, and then I realized it got canceled, and then I was bumming out. Yeah, I don't know. Anything else to add for Hayley Atwell? Is this enough to get you guys to try to watch Avengers Assemble, or does anybody really care?
Don't care.
A cameo appearance isn't getting me to hop in there, and I mean, even if it was more than that, it's just Peggy Carter. It's not getting me in.
I have to say that because they're calling it Secret Wars, I'm just kind of curious to see how it's going to line up to the comics.
Yeah.
And
I'll give it that. That might get me to check it out more than Hayley Atwell's presence.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I think she's more of an added bonus for me. The Secret Wars tag is got me curious. I'd like to see what they go with it.
Yeah.
And, just hearing her as the character would be a fun little callback, but it's not enough to bring me into the show. I think, like Mike was saying, I think it's more the Secret Wars tag that gets me interested.
Yeah.
All right, so sticking with Marvel, we're going to move on to...
And Netflix.
Yeah, it's all Marvel Netflix from here on out. Iron Fist actually had a pretty good presence at New York Comic Con.
Oh, yeah.
And for anyone not following along with the whole Marvel Netflix plan, the Netflix series from Marvel that are out there. They're going to give a few characters their own solo series, and they're going to team up for an Avengers-style crossover called The Defenders. So the first one we got out was Daredevil. Jessica Jones came next. We're on to Luke Cage now, and the final Defender is Iron Fist, which is in March. So we finally get our first trailer for Iron Fist, which is what we're going to talk about now. And like as the trailer shows, there's quick words that pop up. So it says the final Defender arrives, in case anyone was unfamiliar with what the hell that meant.
Which is so funny because like they were never really part of the Defenders.
No.
Power Man was the only one.
So what is the Defenders team then in the comics?
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, it was
the Hulk.
Yeah, the Defenders. Power Man was on the Defenders.
Silver Surfer.
That's it.
Yeah, Silver Surfer was a member of
yeah.
the Defenders, and
it's one of those rotating ones. They had like several different iterations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like original and like main, like main series.
But Jessica Jones was never part of it. Daredevil was never part of it.
It should be more like Marvel Knights is really what this should be called.
Yeah.
I feel like they're a lot closer to being Marvel Knights than they are to being the Defenders.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Do you think they just thought the Defenders sounds cooler?
Maybe.
Well, they're defending the city on the street level side of things. So I mean, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, they're appealing to the mass media. I mean, the vast majority of the people that are going to watch this are just individual peoples, not people that like us that know.
Yeah,
details.
They're not going to know the difference.
Right.
Yeah.
For them, it's just Defenders. Okay, now watch it and have fun.
Yeah.
So
I just want a Heroes for Hire show. Just give me Luke Cage and oh Jesus Christ,
Jessica Jones.
We're talking about him, Mike. What's his name?
Iron Fist. Yeah. Wow, it just went like gone. Just gone. Just complete brain fart.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you get that after the Defenders. Like if they spin off into their own like team up show.
Yeah.
If Iron Fist catches on the way that Luke Cage has, I think that'll absolutely happen.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of like at this point they're probably just waiting to see if people really like the character. If people like Danny Rand and they want to see it, is it?
Well, you got to
does
think
it work?
too. Like we already know we're getting a season 3 of Daredevil. They've said they're getting a season 2 of Jessica Jones. Punisher is in the works.
And if we get
a season 2 of, I'm assuming you'd get a season 2 of Luke Cage and Iron Fist. So that's 5 different shows.
Well, there was also one I heard about that I don't know if it was just speculation or what, but I heard Cloak and Dagger.
Well, that's what on another channel.
Cloak and Dagger is not a Netflix show. That's going to be on they're putting it
CW.
on. No, it's called Freeform now, but it used to be ABC Family.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know what kind of teen show that's going to be.
I've seen them all posted on like one poster kind of thing, like where Cloak and Dagger was right at the bottom of all the others. So I didn't know that it wasn't going to be Netflix. I hadn't heard anything else about it, but
yeah, that one's coming. I don't think they got a lot of press for that one because I think it's on the random channel that no one will probably watch.
Yeah, ABC Family.
That's a strange decision for an ABC Family.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking
Cloak
too.
And Dagger. They're more an adult comic than children, but
yeah. So with all the stuff they have planned, they could conceivably have 5 different shows on the air at once. So it sort of makes sense if they're, if they want to sort of trim it down, you put Iron Fist and Luke Cage together, combine 2 shows into one. Now you only have 4 shows on the air, which you'd think would help with
Defenders
production.
was only like a one-time deal.
I mean, for right now, I'm sure
it's not even
a
a full 13 season, is it?
I feel like it was announced as some sort of mini-series event.
Like a 4 to 6 episode kind of deal.
Yeah. Whether or not it stays that way, I mean, with the amount of press and praise that these Netflix series go, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's another 13-episode series.
True.
Yeah, I mean, it'll still be 5 running concurrently because, I mean, you have the 4 Defenders and the Punisher that are all going to have their own show.
Right.
And the Defenders would make 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'm not counting the Defenders as like a normal, like all the time thing because you probably have 2 or 3 of them on a year. So the solo ones come out and be like if they do the Defenders like the Avengers, and you do a bunch of solo movies, and then you have one big team up, and then they spin off into solos again, and then they come back for a team up.
Right. That would
That's
make
the kind
sense.
of schedule I'm picturing.
Yeah, and I think if they do a Moon Knight, that would be awesome. I don't know that it'll happen, but I hope it does.
Yeah, that's been one of the rumors for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, everything they make on Netflix has been a hit, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're just like, yep, just keep printing out money.
Yeah.
They could do that.
Yeah, as long as they just keep doing quality.
It wouldn't be too hard.
Yeah. All you have to do is put Marvel in front of the Netflix title, and I think people are willing to check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But yeah, I guess we started talking about all these shows, but we haven't talked about the trailer. What did you guys think of the Iron Fist trailer?
I'm excited, to be honest with you, because like I don't really know a lot about Iron Fist. I know what he's capable of, and I know a little bit of his backstory, but I'm kind of just interested to see how they play it all out.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's got me really excited for just something different, kind of, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be different. I mean, the Iron Fist draws on powers that they really haven't introduced much into the the MCU or any Netflix shows, anything like that at this point. I mean, the closest thing would maybe be Scarlet Witch, drawing on like a mystical power of some kind, but she's not, because she's obviously an experiment in the MCU. So how they're going to explain his powers, if it stays true to the comics or if it takes a different route, I'm not sure what they're going to do, but mystical powers is something that they're really going to get the chance to introduce in a couple of weeks with Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to open up a lot of the opportunities for them to, be able to explain further how the Iron Fist attains his power.
Do you know his origin? Because I think he's the one I know the least about, so I can't really chime in on how he gets his powers.
He's like in a plane crash. He's kind of like, wasn't he in a plane crash as a kid, and he's raised by monks, and he gets his powers from a dragon, mystical dragon. I thought
I feel like the plane crash is hinted in the trailer.
Yeah, there's a lot of that there. You touched on a lot of it. The powers of the dragon, I don't think he gets it directly. I'm not sure, though. It's been a really long time. I was probably a teenager last time I read the origin of Iron Fist, but I would say that he draws off... I don't even know how to say it, because I don't think I've ever heard it enunciated by anybody, but Kunlun, I don't know how it's said.
Close enough.
And he draws upon that as a mystical power, and I don't know, the one thing that I would say is that it's a different sort of origin than any of the other Netflix characters, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a question of how that plays with the audience, because the initiated, if you will be just fine with it, but we're not the majority of the audience. So how's it going to play overall, I think, determines the future of that character, because as much as I hate to say it, the casting choice is going to be a little off-putting for me. Just because I don't know the guy's name off the top of my head.
Finn Jones.
Finn Jones. He looks a lot like a somewhat more muscular version of my brother-in-law. So it's going to screw with my head a little bit, because my brother-in-law has like the same hair, the same facial hair, it's kind of weird. And I don't know that the other thing with the appearance of the character that kind of threw me is that nowhere there do you see him put on that cowl that he wears.
Like Daredevil did.
Right, yeah, Daredevil kind of wore the Iron Fist cowl, which threw me off in the beginning of Daredevil. I was like, why are they doing that? But it's something that he needs to do. Like, I feel like that's like part of the way the character looks.
I think they'll get that eventually. Just like the Daredevil costume, like he didn't get a full costume until the last episode of the first season.
Yeah.
That's something that they'll build towards for the character.
True. I mean, in Luke Cage, they kind of just poke fun at it.
Yeah.
Which kind of had to happen because it's not. It wasn't a cool costume. I mean, Iron Fist costume is kind of cool looking.
I just don't know how they're gonna do that. I mean, it's just like green pants, a yellow belt, and a cow.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to walk around shirtless for the outfit to work for me. But
you got to show off that chest tattoo.
Yeah, that's true.
I thought that looked kind of painted on in the trailer, honestly.
Yeah, well, the other thing is like
tattoo really kind of threw me off. I was like, "This looks awesome." Then I was like,
if they do it right, that tattoo can glow like they show his fist glowing,
which would be really cool. But it honestly looked like he went to a Renaissance fair and got it painted on his chest.
That's what we should do.
The other thing is it looked like it was too small for the Iron Fist tattoo. Like, for what he has on his chest in the comics is much bigger.
It's huge, just like his whole chest almost.
Right. Like, it's enormous, and it looked like this, it was just a little tiny thing on his chest, and
almost like the bat symbol. It was just like...
Yeah. Like, same positioning, same everything. It's a good idea of it, but I don't know. We'll have to see what happens, but I mean, in the comics, when it lights up, when, he taps into the power and his whole chest lights up on fire, like, it's pretty awesome. But
and then what his one fist, is it just the one fist that like glows and turns on fire and then it's only super right powerful?
Yeah.
So is it a tattoo, or is it more like when the power happens, is it just like kind of like a scar from the symbol that appears on him?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm not actually certain of the origin of the dragon on his chest. I know pretty much what you've heard is what I know about it. I know it lights up, but the origin of it, I'm not certain of.
I'm excited to kind of find out more about him.
So I was reading a little bit here on Wikipedia, or Marvel Wikipedia, or whatever the hell it is. He stumbles across the city Kunlun, and I guess it only appears like every 10 years. Or something. I think it's like a hidden city.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it appears, so he ends up being there for quite some time. Trains, and he actually does kill a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
He at 19, he's given a chance to attain the power of the Iron Fist by fighting and defeating the dragon Shao Lao. I don't know.
There's a lot of hard words to say in Iron Fist.
Yeah, a bunch of Oriental words.
Yes.
Names.
I feel like this is where it's going to lose us, because, like, compared to every other Marvel Netflix series that's out there, they're all fairly pretty grounded.
Yeah.
And now you're talking about fighting dragons and mystical stuff, like...
Except for the second part of Season 2 of Daredevil, that gets kind of mystical with, like, the whole black sky, or what was it called?
In the hand.
And like, the Elektra thing and everything just got kind of a little bit less grounded.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, if I had to guess, the dragon he fights if he fights a dragon in the Netflix series, my guess would be it's not a real dragon. It's a vision of some kind, or
a manifestation.
Yeah, it's not gonna. I think if they go real dragon and Fin Fang Foom pops up and
awesome.
I agree. It would be awesome, but they're gonna lose a lot of people on that.
It's just gonna be one big, really big muscular guy named the Dragon.
Yeah, it could be.
He puts his hand on the molten heart. Actually, it was the dragon's molten heart. I guess hang on. Shalal the Undying, who guards the molten heart that had been torn from his body. During the battle, Daniel throws himself against the scar of Shalal, which burns a dragon tattoo onto his chest. Having killed, he enters the cave, plunges his fist into a container holding the creature's molten heart, emerging with the power of the Iron Fist. And then I guess it's revealed later that Daniel is part of a long line of Iron Fist.
Alright, so there we go. So we got dragon fighting and molten fire hearts.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well,
I guess we'll see if they take it that way.
Did the trailer really show us much of who the antagonist was going to be?
No.
No,
Yeah.
but in the comics, it says apparently like his father was killed, so maybe he's going after his father's killer. And I didn't read enough that would give me any information on who it was.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they can do it, but it would be like a dream thing for me if they could do like just bring the origin of Sabretooth back from the comics and have him fight Sabretooth. It would just be fantastic. They can't do it, but I mean that's one of my favorite Iron Fist comics that I can say I've actually probably read several times. Was the Sabretooth first appearance?
See, I didn't know he fought Sabretooth.
Yeah. First time. I think it's issue 14. Iron Fist 14 is first time Sabretooth ever appeared.
Wow. Oh, so he debuted in Iron Fist before he was an X-Men villain.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Who was the dude that always fought Iron Fist? Iron Serpent?
Yeah.
He was dressed in like yellow or green? Or he was like the opposite color.
Yeah. Iron Fist wears yellow, and he would wear green.
Yeah. Iron Serpent.
And yeah. That sounds right.
You know a little bit.
Because I have like issues of just like random stuff, and I just see stuff like that.
I mean, not saying too much about Luke Cage, but I kind of felt that, at least at the beginning, that they were maybe going to head towards the Serpent Society. Mm-hmm. And so I could see them, because the Serpent Society that's in the comics is not what's in Luke Cage. It's that was one thing that had to be very clear for people who aren't aware of it, is that we'll get into more of it later, but it's not the Serpent Society.
Okay.
But they may twist it for the purposes of Netflix into that, and tie Iron Serpent into that Serpent Society.
Okay, I got you.
Which kind of works a little towards my theory about the whole Sigourney Weaver thing, but we'll talk about that later too.
Yeah. The only other thing I wanted to mention is it looks like the trailer gives us another hallway fight, which I'm really looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think the Iron Fist show, could give us some of the best fight choreography we've had since Daredevil.
I hope so, yeah.
He probably can. He's much more powerful than Daredevil. So
yeah, I believe that.
I mean, like when he impacts somebody, it's not going to be like Daredevil impacting somebody and
just a street fight. Yeah, it's not just a street fight.
No.
Yeah, you see him punch through like a steel door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, he can pack a lot more of a punch.
Yeah.
So it'll be a different kind of hallway fight, but I think it'll be fun all the same.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe he just won't use his power.
It could be before he gets his power.
That could be too, yeah.
All
right, so that looks pretty sick. That comes out, I forget what day in March, but it is March of 2017, so we got a couple months to wait.
I think it was sometime in the middle of March.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I want to say St. Patrick's Day, actually. I want to say like the 17th.
Oh, that could be. All right, so I'm going to try to keep us moving because I think we're going to lose Andy in a little bit here.
Yep.
So I'm going to try to see if we can get to Luke Cage while he's here.
Damn work.
One more news story to hit quickly, and I think this was at Mike already sort of mentioned it, but I think it was at the Iron Fist panel, and I put this video on Facebook for anybody that wants to see it. Finn Jones was asked about he asked Jeff Loeb, head of Marvel TV, who was like moderating the panel, I guess, if he can bring some friends on stage. So they introduced all the Marvel Defenders Netflix stars. So we got Charlie Cox, Mike Coulter, Kristen Ritter, and Finn Jones were all up on stage together. It was the first time all four, as far as I know, all four of them were met. Like they just met backstage before they went on stage. Like obviously Kristen Ritter and Mike Coulter had met because they'd been in Jessica Jones together, but for all four of them together, that was the first time. So that was a big deal.
They were naked.
Well, that too. So that was a big deal for the people in New York. The crowd was going nuts, and then Jeff Loeb tries to calm them down because he has another announcement that they hadn't heard, and he says that we've cast the person playing the villain for the Defenders that's going to take on all four of these people. And then he announces that it's going to be Sigourney Weaver to the crowd, and they lose their shit. They start chants of like "holy shit" and stuff, which was pretty fucking cool. So Sigourney Weaver is going to be the villain of the Defenders, who's going to take all 4 of these people on. I'm really ecstatic about this casting choice. These Netflix shows have done really, really great with their villains, and I think she's going to bring it, whatever they make her do. But does anybody have any idea who she could be playing? Because I have no idea.
I don't either. That's why I was curious.
It sounded like Mike had a theory.
My theory bases once again off of them convoluting the Serpent Society into the villains that appear in Luke Cage is the start of it, and her potentially playing Viper.
Okay.
Which is the same villain you saw in the Wolverine.
That's what I was going to ask about.
But it is a character that would have crossover value, kind of like Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch do, where both universes could use them, which I actually had to look up when I was thinking of this, because I wasn't certain that it would be possible for them to do it, but evidently the character appears enough in both that...
So she's not considered strictly an X-Men villain.
Right. And they could go that route, tie everything like that together. That would be one thing I see as possible. I don't necessarily think they would go that route, just because I don't see Sigourney Weaver playing Viper.
Putting her in like this green leotard.
Yeah, I just don't see
I
that.
think I see more of her like a Kingpin kind of level, but I don't know any female versions of that.
Nucci.
Who's that? I don't know who that is.
She's a mob boss type villain. I can't remember who she starts out as a villain for, but one of the street level superheroes like we have here, Daredevil and Luke Cage.
I'm kind of assuming that the villain organization that the Defenders will be fighting will be the Hand, but I don't know who she could play in like the hierarchy of the Hand.
They could. Well, there's 2 in mind there. At one point, Typhoid Mary was kind of leading the Hand. But I mean, that was in. I want to say that was in Deadpool. Okay. That was happening. And the other one is Morgan Le Fay. And she had loose ties to the Hand, and they can really change the characters a bit if they want to fit.
Is that the same Morgan Le Fay from like the King Arthur legend?
It's based off of it.
Okay.
They used the name and used like the motivations and everything, but the character is very similar.
So what's up with this character? Because I don't know anything about this one either.
I would recommend you Google it. She's very good at manipulation. I
can see Sigourney Weaver playing that kind of a person.
Right,
you're not going to get her because she's old. You're not going to get her like in any kind of action villain.
No.
Yeah.
She's going to be a string puller.
Yeah.
Right. And I have one other crazy theory that this one I seen immediately and ties to it, because originally they had said, which I didn't realize, Brian and I talked about this before, about Mephisto. And originally it was said that Mephisto was going to be the villain for Defenders. And I didn't realize that. And but the thing with Mephisto and the possibility of that working is that Mephisto doesn't have to appear on Earth as a man, a woman. He could appear as a dog if he wanted to.
That's true.
He saw Alien in Ghostbusters and was like, yeah, I'm going to look like her.
Dana.
Well, I mean, if she goes Mephisto, she could... Right, she could go very Zool at the end of it there at some point. And we had talked, like, because if they're going to do Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War, you're going to have a Mephisto character. If not specifically Mephisto, somebody playing that role. And this would be a chance for them to introduce that character. So
yeah, I think I've heard, like, Dormammu, I think, has been rumored for the Doctor Strange movie. So whether or not that happens. And then the other mystical villain, the big one, is Mephisto.
Yeah, and Blackheart.
So, it remains to be seen where either of them could show up, but especially if Iron Fist starts bringing in some mystical to the Marvel Netflix series. You figure you might get another mystical villain in there.
Yeah, and Mephisto's one of those ones that we kind of discussed, like saying like Disney, Mephisto technically being Satan. I don't know how well that would go over with them.
Right.
But that's also why he was Mephisto in the comics, is because it didn't go across with the code back in the day, so possibly.
Yeah, the devil type characters would fit better in a Netflix series than a Disney movie.
Right.
Mm.
But
we'll have to
my
see.
First bet would either be Nucci or Morgan Le Fay, if I had to venture a guess. But
yeah, we'll have to wait until probably about a year. Probably, I'm assuming fall of 2017 is when we're getting Defenders.
Sounds about right.
We know it's sometime 2017, and they seem like they've been doing pretty good of releasing one in like March or April, and then a second show in like September, October.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, if we're getting Iron Fist in March, I would think the next fall is when we'll get Defenders. So, but I'm sure we'll get a trailer of some kind right around Iron Fist premiere.
Well, because you figure they moved Daredevil to 18 because of Defenders.
Right.
Yeah.
So it would have to probably be mid to late 17.
And that just saddens me. Moving Daredevil back even further, it was like, that sucks.
You think about that, but it's like there is enough content to keep us held over between now and then.
Yeah.
There's no shortage of comic book stuff out there.
Plus, we'll get some Daredevil and Defenders, so.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. It's not like he's going away completely.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to move us on to Luke Cage just so we can try to get Andy in here before he jets. So a few weeks ago, Netflix debuted their latest Marvel series leading up to Defenders, which is Luke Cage, now available to be binged. We briefly talked about it on the show before. We're finally going to give sort of our first impressions of what we've seen and what we think so far. So this is not going to be a summary of the whole season, just our initial thoughts for the first 4 episodes. But with that in mind, I am going to throw out the spoiler alert, so if you haven't started Luke Cage yet, you can pause this now, come back after you've watched the first 4, and then, at least finished up to episode 5, or something like that, and then you can come back and listen to us. So this is your last warning for spoiler alert for first 4 episodes of Luke Cage.
Wee-oo, spoiler! Wee-oo, spoiler! Something like that.
All right, so we're back for Luke Cage, and we'll just get into it. Andy, what did you think of the first 4 episodes?
There were a lot of things that I liked, and there were a few things that I didn't. I really like the music so far. I think the music in, Harlem's Paradise, the club, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Harlem's.
Oh, with all like the jazz singers and
Oasis.
stuff like that.
No, I think they had a bunch of R&B and a bunch of jazz singers and stuff, and I think that's really cool so far. I think the actors have all done a good job. I'm especially impressed with Cottonmouth so far. I think he's done a pretty fucking solid job.
Oh man, he's on another great show.
The thing that I wasn't impressed with so far are the action sequences. I thought were a bit cheesy. Like the couch, I especially fucking hated. Especially fucking hated. It looked so horrible. It was cool when they flashed back, or they had like a flash forward and you saw the couch fly out the window. I'm like, oh, that's gonna be fucking awesome, And then it happened and I'm like, this is fucking horrible. And the car door really annoyed me as well. It also looks cheesy. I thought it was cool when he wrapped it around the guy, but when he was carrying it and hitting people with it, it was kind of like one of those horribly done action sequences where I punch and like my punch is like 4 feet away from the dude and he goes flying. It reminded me of that.
I thought the exact same thing even in Jessica Jones with him.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a good actor, but I don't know if he can do the action sequences real well, or they just don't know how to do like his strength.
Because he's so strong,
right?
Yeah.
But Jessica Jones seemed to do a pretty good job with it, so I don't know if it's the actor or just the choreography for him. But it really is kind of bothersome for me.
Yeah, I totally, absolutely, 100% agree with that part.
I think it's more the choreography. I think they're just bringing him to the fight as just this big brute.
Yeah, and sometimes he does a good job, like when he throws the guy into the ceiling, or like when he throws the guy against the wall. Like that looks cool, but as soon as he like picks up something to do something with, it just like
Why?
Yeah, like why does he need the car door? It didn't make.
He didn't want any more holes in his clothes.
He's bulletproof.
Yeah.
He's
So
bulletproof.
so another thing that I didn't understand is like he's basically invulnerable, right? Like do the bullets still hurt him?
Yes. He still feels it.
Which is why he didn't shoot himself in the head when he took the gun from the kid, right? He shot himself in the stomach.
Yeah, he still feels it. They just don't do any real harm.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Well, remember what happened in Jessica Jones. He got knocked the fuck out by that shotgun.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah,
head,
like
and the night nurse had to come in and like kind of watch him.
Yeah, it can cause damage because it was like a concussion. You know, I mean, his brain, everything inside him still works just the same as a normal person.
Because his power is impenetrable skin.
And super strength.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's why the fight scenes are so hard, because it's like it's almost like they're trying to play it off that like it's so easy for him to do that, so he kind of just does it. It's like, hey, you're out.
Lazy fighting.
Yeah.
I've always thought that, but then the choreography is just compared to like Daredevil and that, it's just not good.
Yeah. I mean, granted, like he's kind of untrained. He's more of a brawler. Yeah, I wouldn't say that he was. Obviously, he was on the police force, so he had a little bit of like hand-to-hand training and whatnot. But I've always kind of seen him less of a boxer and more like a backstreet brawler or like a bar fighter.
Well, that comes with all the underground prison fighting he was doing too.
Right.
That's the kind of fighting
which
style.
Was another thing I really liked. I liked seeing how he got his powers because I never really knew that before. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Does anyone know, is that accurate to the comics, or is that
mostly?
Did they take some leeway?
Mostly accurate. A lot of the scenes there were drawn directly, like straight out of Luke Cage 1 and 2.
Okay.
You know, him pounding on the wall to get out. They did it a little bit differently. In the comic, it's pretty much just like one punch and boom, there's a giant hole in the wall. And I mean, it works a lot of the same way. You know, I mean, the corrupt guard. There's not really the underground fighting thing going on.
Okay.
But the corrupt guard and the experimentation and things like that are going on, it's pretty much the same. So it's fairly true. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I wasn't sure how.
I'm really curious how or where they're going to take it for what we have. 10 more episodes? 8 more episodes?
9.
Not 9.
9 more episodes. Yeah. I'm really curious where they're going to take it and if he will eventually end up back in Hell's Kitchen. I'm hoping... I know there's going to be a night nurse cameo. I'm hoping for maybe a Jessica Jones cameo. Or we already got one cameo from Turk, which was from Daredevil.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, because he's like, I'm going back to Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, he's like, fuck this. These guys are crazy.
Yeah, I definitely think Night Nurse is the connecting thread between all these.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see Jessica Jones or Matt Murdock or anybody show up. I think it's just Night
But
Nurse,
eventually he has to make it back to Hell's Kitchen, right? I mean, he'll eventually have to leave Harlem in this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would think
to connect the Defenders.
Well, I heard mention like in an article or something like that like Matt Murdock and Foggy Nelson's names were dropped in this, but that's about it.
Okay, I could see name dropping
as attorneys.
For sure. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of this he's still in Harlem, but like when the Defenders happens, maybe somehow Jessica meets Daredevil and Iron Fist or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's
because she has already connected with Luke Cage. She's a PI. She can track him down and brings him to the team.
Yeah, it's not like Hell's Kitchen and Harlem are super far away or anything. They're in the same fucking city.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
a lot of Iron Fist, I believe, is going to be taking place in Manhattan. If you don't know, Danny Rand is he's the Iron Fist, and he is
a millionaire.
Yeah, he is very wealthy. So he's a stark contrast to the other characters we have. You know, the Luke Cage, you know, he's basically got nothing. He's sweeping up a barber shop. Matt Murdock's a lawyer that's he only wants to take on innocent people, which if you do that, you're going to be broke. And he essentially is. And so you have a very different feel that's going to go about Iron Fist in that sense. I don't feel like it's going to have the same gritty feel that the first few seasons have had.
Right.
But so connecting, Hell's Kitchen to Harlem to Manhattan, I think they're going to leave that kind of for like probably a situation that they all respond to. Some major something happens and they all see it and they all say, you know what, that's not in my town, but I got to get over to Brooklyn or to Queens, and they meet there in some way.
So that's the thing. Like, if you start making these threats a little bit bigger, where these four have to come together and fight, with that being tied to the MCU, you got to start asking questions like, well, why is Spider-Man not showing up?
Or why are all of the Avengers there?
Right.
Where's Iron
It's like you have to
Man?
make it big, but you can't make it so big that the Avengers aren't catching its attention and trying to get there.
And where's Cap? He's from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's understandable in the MCU, Cap's on the run, but like Spider-Man went back to Queens, so he should be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's... That's a very good point, and I don't think it's one they're going to touch on.
It goes back
think
to
they will.
We talked about it in a podcast a long time ago. It was like the disconnect between the MCU, between the movies and the TV shows.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah,
I've heard some increasingly rumors of like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Netflix series possibly crossing over.
That would be really cool.
But I don't.
Yeah,
I don't
they
see
said
the
that
movies
there's possible Punisher coming.
Yeah, there was
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
some sort of event. I think that again, Jeff Loeb held an event. They were screening like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff somewhere, and they had a lot of comic book creators in the audience, like some of them that did Punisher, maybe even like some of the other Netflix series. But I know specifically the guy that started the Punisher was in the audience, and then they kept teasing like, well, this guy's here. It'll all make sense in a little while why this guy is here for this event. So people are starting to theorize that John Bernthal's Punisher will show up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something like that.
God, I hope so.
That would be interesting. What I can tell you from Luke Cage, they make a lot of references, it feels like, in Luke Cage to the larger MCU. So, yeah, I mean, just in that first episode, the guy in the corner selling the DVDs and all that of the event, like, oh, I got the big green guy, I've got Thor, I've got, and it seems like they're making a more pointed effort to tie them together subtly.
Mike, not to cut you off, but real quick, Andy, you want to add anything else before you got to roll?
No, I think I pretty much touched everything I wanted to touch on with Luke Cage. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll cut you loose, and then we'll wrap up without you, and we'll catch you, I guess, another time.
Okay, thanks again. It was fun, guys. Nice meeting you, second Mike.
That's right.
Mike number 2.
That's right.
I will catch you guys all later.
All right, thanks.
See you later.
All right, so we cut Andy loose. We're going to wrap up without him. You guys got anything? Mike, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No,
but do you
no
remember
problem.
where you left off? Do you want to pick up what you were talking about?
I pretty much finished the point I was making.
Okay.
So you cut me off at the right time.
Okay, good deal. Was there anything else you guys want to specifically talk about with Luke Cage? Anything stick out to you
what
guys?
I'm noticing? That it was like, when I watched Daredevil and I watched Jessica Jones, I binge-watched the fuck out of those things. Like, I mean, I hammered through Jessica Jones and Daredevil, I think, in a couple of days.
Yeah.
And, I mean, granted, there's some other things on Netflix that my girlfriend and I have been watching.
Still on House of Cards?
We got one more episode left of House of Cards until February. But, I don't know, it's not grabbing me like the other ones did.
See, for me, it came out on Friday. I finished it Sunday morning, so...
So you're done, you've watched them all then?
Yeah, I've seen them all. So I'm like kind of watching what I say and, making sure I don't spoil
Mike's doing a
anything.
good job.
I mean, I watched a couple I watched 4 episodes, and I just, like, it's not pulling me in. It's not, like, really, like, sucking me in like I thought it would.
It has a different feel. Like, I made a point of that, telling Brian that when I asked me my first impressions. It definitely has a different feel. It's has more of a crime drama feel than a crime action feel.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I think maybe that's why it's not holding me.
You need the action there.
I think it's more in line with Jessica Jones, though, because I think Jessica Jones was kind of a slow burn for me.
Yeah, but Jessica Jones was more of a psychological thriller.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't know, for some reason that kept me like intrigued. I was like, man, I just watched. Maybe it was just Kristen Ritter, or I just couldn't stop watching her.
Yeah.
I mean, Jessica Jones is the only one that lost me. Like I watched all of it. It just didn't hold me the same way that the others have. But I mean, I guess that's everybody's individual taste, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say, I still think that David Tennant's Kilgrave is the best villain we've had, especially in the Marvel Netflix series. Like, I'd put him on par with Loki and stuff like that.
I liked him. It did well, but I mean, if you're going to consider Punisher a villain, I'd still go with Jon Bernthal.
Well, yeah, if you consider...
Yeah, I mean, he was a villain for them, so... But... Yeah, other than that, yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Why I'm blanking on his name right now, I can't say.
Kingpin?
Yeah. That's
Wilson Fisk.
Well, I know Wilson Fisk. I know
Vincent
D'Onofrio.
There you go.
Yeah, he was fantastic as well.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
I mean, they've been doing their villains so well.
I think that's a testament to just giving them room to breathe.
Yeah.
I think the villains they bring in the movies are good and should be good, but when they're only trimmed down to 15 minutes of screen time,
sure,
you can't do anything with those villains, and that's why they're largely forgettable.
I agree. I mean,
all the villains in the Netflix, like, they have episodes devoted to them to flesh them out, and that's what gets you invested with these guys, and I think that's why they do so well.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you give Hugo Weaving, you know, the screen time that D'Onofrio got as Kingpin, you've got one hell of a fleshed out Red Skull that's going to be even better.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And he was awesome.
He was, but it's the character's not as fleshed out, so it takes.
We'll
away
never know
a bit.
what Malachor the Accursed or whatever could finally be if he was on a Netflix series.
You know, honestly, the guy they cast for that was awesome. Like, I think he's great in so many things that he does, and he actually kind of looks like a damn dark elf all on his own. Mm-hmm. So it was an awesome casting job. I think that was just poor scripting. Like,
yeah,
I think most of the Marvel villains
was just poor.
I feel like most of the Marvel villains in the movies are always complaining about stuff that they shoot for their characters that get cut.
Yeah,
like Malekith was one I know. Lee Pace's Ronan. I think they had a lot more backstory for him that got cut.
He'll be back, though. I kind of feel like that's coming back.
Didn't he, like, disintegrate or something?
Yes and no. Like, it's also, like, I feel like that's a similar effect to the Tesseract.
Oh, the Red Skull.
Yeah, where he disappears, but is he dead or is he somewhere else?
See, I said that about the Tesseract, too. That's the exact same thing I said about the Tesseract. I think Red Skull just went somewhere.
Oh yeah, he definitely did. The Tesseract is a portal.
Yeah,
he did. He's not dead. Die. But I'm thinking the same
I mean, between
thing
the two, like,
Ronan.
I'm expecting Red Skull to show back up over Ronan. I feel like Ronan's done, but I could see Red Skull coming back.
I think that's part of me just doesn't want Ronan to be done.
The Decimation Stone, like, it just everything.
Yeah, true. I think that's just part of me trying to find a way for Ronan to come back and get more.
I would have liked to see more Ronan because I did like him.
Yeah, it was. The character was well wrote for what he's supposed to be. He was well acted. It just did not have enough to go on to really solidify it. But coming back around to Luke Cage, get us on topic, I think.
Do better at that than I do.
Yeah,
keeping us on point.
The series itself, I feel like, having seen the entire thing, Cottonmouth will come around on you even more. I mean, he's a fantastic villain.
Yeah, I do like him.
He's on House of Cards, by the way.
Oh, is that where he's from?
Yeah, he's Remy Danton on the House of Cards. It's a pretty cool character on there, too. Sorry, go ahead.
No problem. And Black Mariah will... I don't like the character. I think you're supposed to really not like it. But
Is it Black Mariah supposed to be like a huge, like, big bitch?
Oh, yeah. She was supposed to be like a Big Bertha kind of character. Like, going around in like a muumuu and like... But I actually like what they did with the character because I think it would just be a laughable joke if they had it be Tyler Perry dressed up in a muumuu out there as Black Mariah. I don't think it would work. So it works. And I'm not going to spoil anything, so I'll stop there. I'm not going to get into my opinions on Diamondback, because they reference Diamondback in the first few episodes, but they really don't get into much more.
Right, okay.
So, but...
Yeah, they only really mention him, right?
Yeah, they just kind of mention him. He Of course, he shows up. I mean, that's not a spoiler, I really don't think. But... I'm not going to get into my opinions on the character at this point. I'll leave that for later, another time.
Any other characters you guys want to touch on?
I'm just curious what they're going to do with Misty Knight, because they have an older, I don't want to say older woman, but like, not, she is older. She's definitely seems like she's older than
Luke
Cage. But I always remember, what I do remember from Misty Knight in the comic books was like she was like around, like, you know, she was like the same age.
Yeah.
And isn't she supposed to have like a bionic arm?
Not at
Doesn't
first.
she have like a bionic
I think
arm?
his silence means we might get that eventually.
No. In the comic books, not at first. In the comic books, it's very similar. She eventually does in the comic books, but that's far down the line for Luke Cage.
Okay, maybe that's probably what I'm thinking of then.
That's season 2 of Luke Cage.
Well, I don't know about that. As far as where they're going to go with Misty Knight, I'm not going to... I can't...
Seeing how much Mike can tell us without actually telling us anything.
Well, I mean, Misty Knight's a detective, and she's going to continue to be a detective. And
she does a good job. I thought she was pretty good in the show so far.
Yeah, she's excellent. They chose the right person for the job. It's just a matter of, in the comic, it's hard to judge what's going to happen based on comic books versus the shows and things like that.
Well, plus, because these are all characters from like the 60s, right?
70s.
Yeah, 70s.
70s.
Yeah.
Because Misty Knight's all the jive turkey.
Oh yeah.
Type of
person. They definitely toned down Luke a lot. In the comics, he has the same thing, the very jive talking, blaxploitation, 100%.
Yeah.
And
you can't do that now.
Well, it wouldn't work.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it would just kind of come off as Shaft if they tried.
Fucking awesome.
But for me, the whole thing is like in the comics, at least today, or maybe not necessarily current, I'm not sure, but his love interest was Jessica Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, they're supposed to have a kid together.
Yeah, they do in the comics.
Yeah.
And where they're going to go with his love interest here, it's really up in the air.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, because I accidentally read an article and I saw a thing.
I was trying to be vague. I was actually trying to be vague because I've seen it.
Yeah, but I know what you're talking about.
Like, it's up in the air because
something.
Okay, don't tell me.
I'm not saying nothing though.
But I don't even think whatever you saw in the article necessarily is the end of that, because Luke Cage and Jessica Jones kind of go hand in hand, like Peter and Mary Jane.
Yeah.
So
just like Luke Cage and Iron Fist go together.
Right. And
maybe they're just saving that arc for the Defenders when they're finally all back together.
Yeah,
it could
rekindle some missed feelings.
I mean, that's the other thing in the comics. Like, Iron Fist is the one that ends up with Misty Knight. So,
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
In the comics, that's the way it is. Yeah, at least for a time.
A whole big crossover.
Yeah,
that could work.
Sure. But once again, it's comics, so you never know for sure because they kind of pass around between each other. I can't tell you for how many issues that Iron Fist and Misty Knight were together, or if they still are, but
yeah,
it was a thing. So
it counts.
Yeah, so I think that's gonna play into it. Maybe, perhaps they continue Luke and Misty's romance, and those two end up fighting over her or something.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
I actually had a couple people ask me, and I feel like I know the answer, but I just wanted to get your guys' opinion too. When does this take place? Is this after Jessica Jones or before Jessica Jones?
After
Jessica Jones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because in the very first episode, Pop says something about your rebound chick popped you with a shotgun right in the jaw.
Oh, I do remember that. Okay. Yep. So that's referencing what happened to him in Jessica Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, because I was under the impression it was sort of like, almost like they take place real time. So like Jessica Jones was out in like April or something, which like was 5 or 6 months ago.
6 months later.
And yeah, the beginning of the show, he's talking about working at the barbershop for 5 months or something.
So it pretty much was real time then.
Yeah, so that was the way I sort of took it.
Yeah.
But okay, I just want to make sure I got the timeline correctly. And then I don't know if you guys noticed, it was one thing I just want to make people aware in case they're getting confused. What's the lady that plays Cottonmouth's cousin? Like the
Black Mariah.
Okay. What's her name? The actress?
I don't know how to say it, actually.
I don't actually know unless I gotta look it up. I don't remember what her name is.
It's not the lady from Suicide Squad.
Yeah, it is not Viola Davis.
Yeah.
No.
It's someone that looks like Viola Davis, but it's not Viola Davis.
You can suffice it to say, though, it's not the same character that was in Civil War.
That's the point I was trying to make. Yeah. It's the same actress.
Yeah.
Who
oh yeah, you're right. It is.
Stops Tony Stark at the elevator, gives him a picture of her son, and says she works for the government.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that same character. It's one of the few instances where they got the same actress to play two different characters in the MCU.
Right.
Because normally once you're cast as someone in the MCU, the only way they bring you back is if you are that character again somewhere else. You don't get to play two different characters.
I think she was perfect for the role that she's playing in Luke Cage, and she was such a minor... it was a significant part of the Civil War movie, but it was such a minor character.
It's a pivotal point for Tony, so if that's what you gravitate on, and that's sort of what hooks you with him,
right?
I think it makes her a little bit more memorable. And, how many people... They're probably just counting on people not really, like you're saying, thinking that hard on that small little scene and then coming to Luke Cage and being like, oh, it's the same person.
Right.
You know what? I would never even have thought about it if you guys wouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, see? The
Never
mission
really
accomplished.
My wife pointed it out immediately watching the show with me. As soon as she saw her, she's like, isn't that the woman from Civil War? And I'm like, yeah.
Does she follow that stuff enough, or is she just good at seeing faces?
That's why it never dawned on me, because I was like, man, she looks really familiar, and I looked her up, and I saw what other stuff she's been in, and I never even paid attention to her being on Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if anybody else actually... I know... I feel like Josh keeps a list of I know he's been trying to keep a list of who does Marvel and who does DC, like people that have gone to both sides. Mm-hmm. I should ask him. I can't remember if he has a list of people that appeared twice as two different characters.
I mean, Chris
in the
Evans.
same universe.
Oh, in the same universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Evans wouldn't count, but
right. Yeah, I have to get him to clarify his lists. I know he was trying to keep track of that for a while. I'll have to see if he's still doing that. But yeah, just to try to avoid confusion for people that make that connection. I don't know. Was there anything else? One of the Easter eggs I think we sort of talked about that I just want to touch on because it was one of my favorite moments. I think Mike mentioned it earlier when you see him put on the costume, like his comic book costume, when he's he comes out of the tank thing and he's got the tiara on.
Yeah.
And the bracers. And then he's half naked going through the streets and finds just this yellow shirt that he puts on, and he looks like that's the costume pants from the comics. Yeah.
The one thing missing from the costume from the comics that they didn't do it for Punisher either was the go-go boots. The original, like Luke Cage #1, he's got yellow boots on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Big old platforms. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And they didn't, like I said, they didn't do it for Punisher either. Which I'm still waiting for. One day we're going to see a Punisher with the white boots. Just because, like, why not? It totally doesn't fit the character in any way. It's not tactical. It's friggin' stupid. But you know, it would just be nice to see it. You know, even if it's just a reference. Like John Bernthal walking through a shoe store, looks at a pair of white boots and's like, "Nah, can't do those." Yeah. You know, that would be enough.
Basically, what they did with this one in Luke Cage is they put it on just so you could see it. You see the costume. He sees himself in like a car window.
Yeah.
And he says to himself, "You look like a damn fool." And then he changes.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is your message to the audience. Look, this costume, we showed it to you. It looks like crap. We're never going to see it again. Move on.
Yeah. I mean, modern day comics, Luke Cage, he'll still wear a yellow shirt. Yeah, I mean, but it's just like a yellow T-shirt. Like, it's just
exactly.
You know,
it's like a yellow like Under Armour shirt.
Yeah, really, that's what it looks like. And so they modernized it. They kept the yellow, but yeah, his original costume ranks up as one of the absolute worst. But in the comics, believe it or not, he actually makes fun of himself the same way. He picks up that in the comics. He picks up that outfit from a costume shop, and it's like the only thing in the shop that will fit him. They're like, you know, "You're so damn big. Well, we have this," and he's like, "Well, it's not what I normally wear. Good enough." And you know, the chain he just throws around just for the hell of it, I think, and you know, it's a very similar situation to what happens in the comics, but he doesn't take it off in the comics and pitch it aside, you know.
Right. I still always appreciate those like in-universe explanations as to why they're wearing what they're wearing.
Yeah. Well, they have to. I mean,
I feel like there's certain characters that don't, though. They just give them a costume, and you're just left to assume that that's what they wore the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, like Spider-Man hiding his identity, that's good enough for me. Just saying, I want to hide who I am. I'm good. You don't have to go any further. Although that one, I'm hoping we see Stark armor at some point. The Iron Spider, like that would be pretty sick. But I don't know if we're gonna get it, but I hope like hell we do. Someday.
Yeah, fingers crossed for that one.
Yeah.
I don't know, you guys got anything else you want to add for Luke Cage? I'm trying to think, like, I don't feel like too much happened, and we sort of talked about it already.
I touched on it earlier. For anybody who may get confused, that knows the comics, but maybe not entirely so well, the Cottonmouth that appears in this show, the Diamondback that appears on this show, they are not the same characters as you may think of. Luke Cage, there's multiple Cottonmouths in the Marvel Universe. There's multiple Diamondbacks in the Marvel Universe. They are entirely different characters. It's not a retcon with a different name. They were just overlaps in names. And these are Luke Cage villains from the comics. That he had villains named that. It's not... I can't remember.
So if they were different characters with the same name in the comics, do they just kind of like combine them into one for this show?
No. Like they were, like Diamondback today is a female villain with member of the Serpent Society that is entirely different from the Diamondback that appears on the show and in the Luke Cage comics.
All right, so I'm actually having a hard time remembering which one of the characters in the show is Diamondback.
In the show?
You haven't seen him yet.
You haven't seen him yet. He's right. His name is brought up.
That's right.
And the same thing goes like in the Serpent Society. The ones that exist in the comics are, you know, they're very snake-based superpowers.
Okay.
You know, and that's why they form that up. So you know, in the comics, you have Anaconda, you have Cottonmouth, Diamondback, Rattler, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
They've been on. They were on Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Okay, that's a good reference for you then if you haven't seen them and know who
and
they
were
are.
like legit
threats.
Serpent Society.
Yeah.
Like they were dressed like serpents.
Yeah.
I think I remember them dressed as serpents. I didn't put two and two together.
That's them. Yeah,
those people.
Yes, that's yeah.
Yeah, and believe it or not, the Diamondback in the Luke Cage comics also dresses like a snake a little bit. He doesn't go full on snake. Like when they drew him, he just kind of had like the outfit he wore was green, and it kind of had like a scaly look to it when they drew it, so that it looked a little bit like it was snake skin.
Right.
But that's why I feel like they may twist things around, because they have a Cottonmouth, they have a Diamondback, they have a basis for it, and they could twist it and make it work.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they are absolutely different characters.
Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of that, in case anybody was confused that saw that Avengers cartoon and thought maybe, Diamondback's going to show up. It's not the same Diamondback.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's a good PSA.
Yeah. It's not really a spoiler because it's in the comics. It's there. It's,
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to try to wind us down. We got anything else we want to talk about and touch on for Luke Cage? Otherwise, we'll close this episode down.
I can't think of anything else.
Okay. All right, we'll try to reconvene, I guess, whenever we all get on the same page and finish. We can give our final thoughts on the show, what we think of it as a whole.
Yeah, seeing that I only have one more episode of House of Cards, I'd probably be able to finish it up now.
Yeah, I've been holding off till we talked about the first four before I went any further. So now that we got this out of the way, I want to try to get through some more this weekend. I probably won't finish it all, but hopefully I can get another decent chunk out of the way. So I don't know. Hopefully within the next couple weeks, I don't know what's really coming up that we could. Well, I don't know. I got some stuff in mind for the next couple weeks. Whether or not we do that, I still would like to talk about the CW show premieres, which I think the Legends of Tomorrow is on tonight. So once that's out of the way, that could be something we talk about next week. I don't know. We'll see who I can get for that. Mike, I think you're the only one that watches all that stuff with me, so it could just be me and you talking about that stuff. So that, yeah, again, we might do that next week. Just to sort of tease it, whether or not it happens, it's in the back of my mind. I really want to get Mike, and Josh together for a Walking Dead show. Because that premiere is the end of the month?
Next week.
Next
weekend. Next Sunday.
Is that forget about me playing video games on Sunday nights after this Sunday.
See, I watch
for at least 8 weeks.
I watch on Amazon, so I don't get it till Monday, which sucks. But I don't have cable, so
yeah, I have to watch it.
I got off the grid. I don't pay for cable anymore. I just buy the season and wait for it on Amazon.
I don't blame you.
It's cheaper in the long run. It really is.
I watch too many TV shows for it to be cheaper for me.
Well, a lot of them are on Hulu. I mean,
sure.
So like all the CW ones, I think you can get right on Hulu. So they're there, but
yeah,
I'm definitely up for that.
Yeah, I've been trying to get Mike and Josh together to talk some Walking Dead for a while. I couldn't get their schedules to align. So
I can make it work anytime. So just let me know when.
Yeah. So at the very least, we'll get Mike and Mike on for some Walking Dead. See if we can get Josh to add in the conversation too, because I've said it before. I don't watch Walking Dead. I never really get into it.
So, but ridiculous.
I know. I get a lot of shit for that as it is.
It's like the biggest thing going right now, man.
It absolutely is the biggest comic
part of
book
me is
show.
at the time, it's like, everybody's bitching that I should watch it, and me just to spite them is like, no!
Dude, just binge it. Just hammer it down, dude. They got all six seasons are on Netflix. Just hammer it down.
And it's something I could get into eventually, but
the longer you wait...
right now...
But you don't like gore.
I'm not a big gory person.
You don't want to watch it.
It's not that bad. There's a lot of the episodes where there's nothing.
Well, yeah, that's true too.
Like
there are a lot of episodes that there's not much, but then there's some that's just like, oh.
Oh yeah. There's definitely some of that.
Oh my, yeah.
They come up with some interesting ways to kill some zombies.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. If I ever start diving into it, we'll do episodes where I talk about what I thought about what I've seen, coming in as the newbie.
I'd be alright with that.
We're going to be talking about, I don't know.
Yeah, because at this point, I'm going to give you guys the platform to talk about it. I don't care what you spoil for me, because as of right now, I don't have any plans to watch it. So, but I know we've had requests to talk Walking Dead. I never organized it because it's not something I watch on a regular basis. But I have no problem letting you guys talk about it because I got nothing.
Well, and you can be the one that asks crazy questions. You know, just why this, why that, and
yeah, I'll try to bring the dumb man's opinion.
Yeah.
To the show. And then I think after, like, if we did that the next 2 weeks, and then a week after that, Doctor Strange is out. So
yeah,
we have our next couple, I feel like, sort of rough outlined.
And sometime soon we're going to get more Logan info.
Yeah.
See, that's going to be coming soon because that poster came out. There's more coming soon.
I wonder if they put a trailer for Logan in front of, like, Doctor Strange or something.
Probably.
I wonder if I feel like they're rushing that.
Well,
they got to capitalize on their R-rated Deadpool movie that made a shit ton of money last year.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, you seen the leak on the villain, right? Or not the leak; it came out. They released.
Don't think that I did.
I seen something. I'm actually gonna have to look it up really quick because it was just like this little dumb thing I clicked on for some reason, and
the clickbait headlines got you, didn't they?
Yeah. Hey, well, I'm usually the guy that'll click on it to look at it, and I will not really read it. I'll just read the comments to find out what was said. Yeah, they released that the villain's going to be Donald Pierce.
I don't know who that is.
The Reavers. He's he's like an overarching one of the.
One of Mr. Sinister's. Aren't the Reavers part of Sinister?
No, that's the Marauders.
That's what. Okay, never mind.
The Reavers are. Pierce has close ties. He's a human that eventually gains powers that are different, but it'll be an interesting tie-in. I don't know how much I like him being a Wolverine villain. He's more of an X-Men villain. Like, he's out to kill all mutants kind of thing, but he starts out as like a human that's very anti-mutant, jealous, like every friggin' X-Men villain. But that leak, I was hoping it was going to be a Mr. Sinister leak, and it was a Donald Pierce leak, so we'll see.
Well, they could stick with the Mr. Sinister as a cameo type thing.
Yeah, I think that's definitely coming, but who knows?
Yeah, that's in March, right? That's another March movie.
Yep. Mm-hmm. March is going to be an
I
interesting one.
feel like they're rushing this one.
Yeah, that does seem like it's pretty quick.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess we'll see.
I mean, have any of the Wolverine movies really been super high quality and not felt a bit rushed?
I do really like The Wolverine. I thought that was a pretty solid film.
I liked it up until the Silver Samurai was the old man in the giant suit.
Yeah, that's my biggest complaint. But yeah, you're right. Up until then, I think it's a really, really good movie.
Yes. I agree with that.
All right, so yeah, that's sort of what's in my head, at least for the next couple of weeks. We'll see if we can make those work, depending on what other type of, I guess, news stuff happens between now and then. If something big happens, I might shelve some stuff to talk about bigger news things, but that's at least what I got in my head for On Tap for the next couple of weeks. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's it for this episode. Just time for me to plug all my shit. If you want to find us on Facebook, you can search for Bry Guys Super Friends or go to www.facebook.com/Bry Guys Super Friends. Like, comment, share. We appreciate all that good stuff. If you enjoy the show, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. That'll really help us out. And you can also find us now on iHeartRadio. And on behalf of Andy, Mike, and myself, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.